Today on Brilliance Business TV, we have Rennie Gabriel. Rennie is the author of the best-selling book, Wealth on Any Income, translated into 8 languages. Stay tuned. Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler, and today we have a wonderful guest coming on to the show, Rennie Gabriel. Rennie is the best-selling author of Wealth on Any Income. As you could see, I was having a few technical issues there and I've just got them resolved. So I'm really looking forward to a conversation with Rennie today. And who does not want to build more wealth on any income? So a great conversation to follow. We are streaming live on MSPnewsglobal.com. We're streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we're also streaming through the E360 TV network under Fresh Takes, going out to Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, Roku, and we're also on Business Innovators Radio Network. I just want to make an official shout out to our show sponsors, Dreamweaver Artist Ranch. So let's bring in our incredible guest, Rennie Gabriel. Hey, Rennie, great to have you on the Brilliance Business Show.
Hi, Mark. It's great to connect. It took a while, but we did it.
I'm really looking forward to a conversation with you. I know that you failed high school math. I failed the whole of high school, Rennie. So we do have a little bit in common. But just share a little bit about your past and your background and then what led you to do what you do today, Rennie.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, math was not my strong suit, so I did whatever I could to stay away from that. But in my 20s, I discovered that concepts around money are not the same as geometry or trigonometry or calculus. It has nothing to do with those kinds of things.
Yes.
Anyway, excuse me for a second. I had to clear my throat. So the bottom line is I discovered, it took me years, but I found out that 9 out of 10 people have been taught nothing about how to handle money effectively or powerfully. I mean, they're not taught about budgets or spending plans or saving or any of that stuff. And I don't blame parents. They can't pass on to their children what they don't know. But the school system, you've got teachers who can't teach what they've never learned.
Yes.
And so the bottom line is people graduate from whether it's high school or college with no financial background whatsoever, 9 out of 10 people. And I sought out this information. I mean, I even became a certified financial planner and was still struggling with the basic foundations of handling money. How much money is coming in? Where do you spend it? And that is the most important aspect of any financial plan. It's how much money am I bringing in? Where am I spending it? I have to make choices. And it wasn't until my 40s I finally got that information. And the saddest part is I found that information most powerfully, effectively in a program for debtors, a 12-step anonymous program for people who can't handle money.
Interesting, Rennie. And you have a great point, actually, because there's lots of people who win the lottery. They don't know how to manage money and they lose the whole of the money that they have won. And even some really successful celebrities, they live such big lifestyles and spend money on all the best things, and then they end up having to go bankrupt. So what are some of the things that can support us with that, Rennie?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. What I discovered were there were three secrets that wealthy people operate by that most of the population has no knowledge of. And I use an acronym AFI for those three secrets. And
Yes.
that has nothing to do with the American Film Institute. But if that helps someone remember A, F, and I, then terrific. So the A happens to be attitude. And that is the biggest and most important aspect of creating wealth. It's recognizing that we've been conditioned, we've been programmed since childhood to have a false belief around money. I've done a TED talk, which we'll talk about later, but I illustrate how fairy tales and books and Hollywood movies subconsciously program us to believe it's better to be poor than to be wealthy. And so people don't want to be wealthy. They don't want to have money because they say, oh, well, that'll make me a bad person or an evil person. I mean, look at the greedy rich people. And that the biggest philanthropists on the planet are the wealthiest people on the planet. And that's what I'm here to support, is allowing people to handle money powerfully so they can become philanthropic and donate to the causes that matter to them. So that's the A. And we can talk about some of those well, let me give you one attitude right off the bat. Mark, but this is great. Let me put you on the spot. Can I do that?
You can.
Okay. Have you heard of the expression, pay yourself first?
I have heard of it, yes.
Okay. Now, here, this is where it gets tricky. Can you explain it?
No.
and that's exactly what I'm getting at. Or, I mean, I can't tell you how many podcasts that I've been on where I'll ask the host if they've heard of it, and 100% of the hosts have heard of it, and hardly anyone can explain what it means. So you're a part of the 9 out of 10 that have heard of it, but that doesn't mean anything. And this is where we have an attitude that wealthy people are different than ordinary people. When they have something that they've heard before that's familiar to them, they won't make a statement like, oh, yes, I've heard that, or that's not new to me, or I know about that. Instead, the wealthy person's attitude when they hear something familiar is to ask questions. Questions that start with, well, how would that fit my situation? Or when will I begin doing that? Or where would I put the money? Or who can support me with that? They'll ask questions, and the answers to those questions lead to the results that they want
Yes.
to have. And so that's an important attitude that wealthy people have when they hear familiar information. And I actually wrote a book recently that has like 30 different attitudes that wealthy people operate by. So that's just an example of one of them. Okay, let's talk about F for forms. So we got A for attitude, F for forms, and they look at the same forms you and I may have seen before, but they look at them differently. Mark, have you ever filled out a form for the bank when you requested a loan?
Yes.
Okay. And does it ask you how much money you have, and if you have any investments, or if you have a home and how much its value is? Did they ask questions like that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, when ordinary people fill out forms like that, which is a net worth statement, they look at certain things and say, oh, this is how much I'm worth. But when a wealthy person looks at those same forms, They're looking for what assets they can use to generate an income. And the house is not one of them, unless
No.
they're using it for Airbnb or something. The reality is a house isn't an asset that generates an income. The house generates expenses. There's property taxes, there's utilities, there's maintenance, there's repairs. And that's if they even have no loan. If they have a loan, now there's a mortgage payment too. So the house doesn't create an income, it sucks out money from
Yes.
someone. So this is the difference with what a wealthy person does when he's looking at those forms versus what ordinary people do. And, and I've heard accountants say, oh, yeah, look how much money your house is worth. That doesn't make you feel good. Yeah, right. But it's not, unless I sell it and move to something else that's cheaper, I'm not going to have any money that's going to give me an income. So that's the forms. And then one of the most important that I mentioned earlier is an income and expense form or a cash flow form, where you look at how much money's coming in and where is it coming from. A lot of people just have a paycheck, but there's a dozen other places that money can come from. It can come from interest. It can come from dividends. It can come from capital gains profits. It can come from rents. It can come from doing peer-to-peer lending. It can come from trust deeds. It can come from oil and gas revenue. I mean, it can come from multi-level network marketing or direct sales, in addition to a paycheck or even instead of a paycheck.
Great points, Rennie. I'm very big on things like crypto and NFTs, also physical gold and silver. I put investments into. And also you mentioned about the media programming us to be poor. And sometimes that can come from family as well, because I know the older generation, they would talk you, oh, money's bad, money's evil. So it can come from your family as well, which is programmed into you as well. And
yes, but in the same way that your family programmed that into you, it's because it was programmed into them.
Yes. And I like your point as well about asking great questions, because if you ask questions, you get great answers that will help you to move forwards. So you was broke at 50, if I am right in my research. Tell us a little bit about that, and then how did you get yourself out of it? And obviously now you have created to wealth of a multi-millionaire. So from 50 being broke, how did you make that turnaround?
Well, I think it's important to say how it happened. And there were a couple of divorces. There was a business failure. And since I didn't know how to handle money effectively to begin with, it wasn't easy to put things together. But in my 40s, I found out how things are supposed to work. And in my 50s, after my second divorce, I put into practice the concept that we just spoke about, which is pay yourself first. I was only earning $5,000 a month, but I set aside $500 a month to keep for myself, to treat myself like I deserved to own some of the money I was earning. And in 3 years, I saved up a whopping $18,000. Well, I had the opportunity to invest with two other people in a little piece of income producing real estate. It was a triplex. And so my wife, my third wife, she put in $18,000, and the realtor said, this is such a good deal, I'll contribute $36,000. So it took three of us to make that down payment. And so one of my expressions, quotes is, wealth creation is a team sport, not a solo sport. Well,
that's a great point, actually, Rennie.
It's very important, because I don't suggest anyone try and create wealth by themselves. And if you look at the wealthiest people on the planet, They didn't do it by themselves either. Whether you're looking at Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or Warren Buffett. Oh, okay. Most people have heard of Warren Buffett. You have, right, Mark?
I have, yes.
Okay. Have you heard of Charlie Munger?
No.
Okay. Charlie Munger happens to be half of Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett is what's called a visionary, and Charlie Munger happens to be an execution master. Warren has a vision, Charlie executes on it. Elon Musk doesn't know anything about manufacturing cars, and he admits that. But Tesla Motors is one of the most valuable car companies on the planet. He doesn't know about manufacturing cars, but he has execution masters who know how to manufacture cars. And so when you're building a business, it takes more than one personality. When you're creating wealth, it takes more than one person if you're really going to do it effectively. So
Great point.
So I, 3 years, saved $18,000, invested it in a triplex. I put in my time and effort in managing it and rehabbing it. And within a few years, it was worth an extra $500,000.
Wow.
And I could see that this was working. And I went, now here's another thing that wealthy people have as an attitude. They borrow money. They use borrowed money to create wealth. They don't use borrowed money to buy a big screen TV or fancy car. They use it to create wealth. So I borrowed money to make down payments on more apartment buildings with the realtor and my wife. And literally within 8 years from the time I started, by age 58, I was worth multi-millions.
Rennie, it's just so many pearls of wisdom there. I like how you shared the story of investing with 3 other people or 2 other people. Yep. Into real estate. It reminds me of what I'm doing on a very smaller level, and it's just a mini project I'm working on at the moment. But I've purchased a few NFTs. They match my money, what I put in. So I've got a couple of $1,000 bonus from putting a couple of thousand in. But the NFT is against physical real estate, so they're backed up by real estate, and when the real estate makes money, all the people who own the NFTs make an income. So I am on track. I do bits of investing and things. I think I want to ask you, you talked about this, pay yourself first. I didn't actually ask. Just briefly share, what is the meaning behind that, Rennie?
That's what I was talking about when I said at age 50, from the $5,000 a month I was earning, I set aside $500 a month. I paid myself that 10% that I was setting aside, and that was money I was going to keep for the rest of my life. That wasn't money to go to repair the car if it broke down. That was money that was going to be used to build my net worth and my wealth. And that concept, by the way, is 5,000 years old. It was actually written about in a book over 100 years ago called The Richest Man in Babylon. And hey, if it's worked for 5,000 years, it'll be working when you and I are dust.
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. So I say, treat yourself like you matter. You're earning money. Set a specific amount aside, a percentage that you're going to keep for the rest of your life. And here's a great rule of thumb that I learned. If you set aside 10% that you're going to keep, that's going to create your wealth. And you set aside an additional 10% for the things that are going to go wrong. When you're going to have to spend money later because you forgot to set aside money for back to school clothing for the kids, or the property taxes, or the auto insurance premium, or that the car's going to break down. I found for almost all the people, the hundreds and hundreds of people that I've spoken to, and I've gone through their spending plans line by line, between 10 and 15% of the money that they need isn't set aside, and that's what creates the credit card debt.
I think after today's episode, we're all going to be managing our money better, making better choices, or becoming more wealthy. Even from what you've shared, Rennie, you've shared a lot of value. Rennie, I just need to go to a commercial break, so please stay where you are. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for part 1 of Brilliance Business TV. We're in conversation with Rennie Gabriel, wealthonanyincome.com. Stay tuned.
Hello everybody, Cyberchuck 2.0 here. I'm so excited to be able to share my vision of Dreamweaver's Artist Ranch. They say you can't choose your family. Not only am I saying you can choose your family, you get to thrive with your family here at Dreamweaver's Artist Ranch. It's a place for like-minded individuals to come together to share experiences and gain experiences, not only through workshops, through performances, and through exhibits. This is a place where you can disconnect from the outside world and reconnect into a community of people that there is no judgment. There's only support. And this place is an amazing place to grow and to tap into your highest potential and to be able to show off all your talents. This is a place you can come and network and really thrive. I'm so excited for Dreamweaver's Artist Ranch. This is a place where dreams actually come true. I love you all so very much. I'll talk to you all later. Peace.
Welcome back to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. We're in conversation with Rennie Gabriel, wealthonanyincome.com. Now, Rennie, I know you do a lot of charity work for Shelter to Soldier. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Share a little bit about that for us and why you're so passionate about it.
I will, and then we'll talk about the last of the secrets, the investments. So AFI.
Oh yes, secrets, more secrets.
Yes. So Shelter to Soldier is an organization in the United States that rescues dogs from environments where they could be killed, they could die, or be euthanized. And if they have the right personality and the right size, they are trained as service animals for soldiers who've returned with post-traumatic stress disorder or traumatic brain injuries. And in the United States, and I think it's similar in Canada and Great Britain, soldiers who've been serving away from home come back with a level of stress that in the United States, 22 a day, almost 1 an hour have committed suicide.
Wow.
And not one who's received their service dog. And these are dogs that are trained to identify if they're having a meltdown or to do certain things for them. Not one soldier who's gotten their service dog has committed suicide. They go from being almost non-functional to contributing members of society because of their service dog. And so every dollar that goes to Shelter to Soldier saves 2 lives at a time. A dog that would have been euthanized and a soldier that could have committed suicide.
I'm such a big dog lover. I have a Staffordshire Bull Terrier. She's 12 now. So I really, really like how that's supporting the soldiers and obviously the dog as well. That is really beautiful, Rennie. Now, before we go on to a few more tips, could you just share a quick detail of the kinds of clients you serve and the products and services you offer, Rennie?
Yes, primarily the people that I work with have control over their income. They are business owners, they're coaches, they're corporate trainers, they're speakers, they're authors, they're professionals, dentists, doctors, CPAs. The funniest part is I spent years coaching other financial planners and how to handle money powerfully so they could create wealth for themselves instead of just for their clients. So
I love it.
Primarily the people I would serve.
It's great work that you're doing, Rennie. Let's have a few more of your secret sauce, please.
Okay, so we covered A, which was attitude, and F, which was forms. And now we'll talk about the I, which stands for investments. And most people, when they think about investments, look at the stock market. Now, you talked about NFTs, you talked about cryptocurrency. Well, that's what I'm getting at. The wealthy are not limited to stocks, bonds, or mutual funds. They could have real estate. And I mean, if we talk about real estate, we could be talking about a dozen different things in real estate alone. There could be
Yes.
an additional home. There could be an apartment building. There could be an office building. There could be a board and care facility or assisted living facility or a self-storage facility or first trust deeds, second trust deeds, tax lien certificates, tax deeds. And all of these are just an extension of real estate. So there's
Great
so many
point.
other areas.
Great points. I am big on crypto NFTs. I've not looked at the stock market. I love physical gold, physical silver. I am making my next step in. I owned my own house, Rennie, a few years ago, and I was struggling with debt. I sold up, got off the property ladder, paid off all my debt, and I've rebuilt myself. So, and it's really hard to get back on the property ladder if you have been on it and then you come
Yes.
off it. I finally got my finances back good. So in April next year, when I've got my next tax return, I will be able to go and get a new apartment. I am living there, and I know a lot of people say don't buy property if it's just to live in, but I would be wasting money on rent. So I'm getting myself a little apartment, but I'm seeing that as a temporary little apartment that I will move on to other things, and then that will be a rental when I move on. So I'm getting little things in all different places, which is a great start. But I've thoroughly enjoyed all of your tips, Rennie. And like you say, people need this education. A lot of people do struggle to save, invest, and manage their money wisely. Before we end the show today, just tell us a little bit about your book, Wealth on Any Income, and also tell us a little bit about your free gift that you're offering as well.
Absolutely. So the free gift is at wealthonanyincome.com/TEDx. They'll be able to hear the TEDx talk where I talk about being programmed to believe it's better to be poor than wealthy. And then I provide a 9-step roadmap that'll take people from wherever they are to a place where they can create wealth and be philanthropic and donate to the causes that touch their heart. My book, Wealth on Any Income, and I'm laughing because I'm thinking, well, the book is titled Wealth on Any Income. The website is Wealth on Any Income. I have a podcast. Guess what the name of the podcast is?
Wealth on Any Income.
Good guess, Mark. You got it. And so the book, the first third of the book is really dealing with the attitudes that get in the way of creating wealth. And we have to break those up first. And then the latter 2/3 of the book has the tips and techniques to handle money powerfully, how to create a spending plan, how to pay yourself first, talk about the investments, talk about where you may be spending money unconsciously and how to create consciousness, how to ask yourself questions to see if you're spending money in alignment with your goals and where you want to go. So that's what the book is about.
I would encourage everyone out there to grab your free gift, wealthonanyincome.com/TEDx. That's wealthonanyincome.com/TEDx. Rennie,
Can I offer something extra?
Of course you
I
can.
did this the other day on a summit, and people took advantage of it. If now 100% of the profits from the work I do goes to Shelter to Soldier. So I'm not doing this to make money. And if someone goes to my website and clicks on the Shelter to Soldier link and makes a donation, a $25 donation to Shelter to Soldier, I'll send them a free copy of my book.
That's an incredible offer. So I would encourage you to first help a soldier, second help a dog, get your free gift of a free book. Go to wealthonanyincome.com, shelter to soldier. That's wealthonanyincome.com, shelter to shoulder. Rennie, I have thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you today. Thank you so much for being my guest.
My pleasure, Mark. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity.
The pleasure's been all mine. Thank you everyone for watching Brilliance Business TV. Today we have been in conversation with Rennie Gabriel of wealthonanyincome.com. Thank you everyone for watching. Until next time, bye for now.